In this video, you are going to learn exactly how to knock doors as a real estate agent from me, Cameron Ure. In this video, I'm going to be analyzing a roleplay session where usually I'm roleplaying with my students and they're being the agent, but in this video, I'm actually being the agent, walking them through how to handle objections, and we're going to review it live on this video. Okay, so we're about to hit play on my roleplay with my students within my live group coaching call, and this is how I handle objections, and hopefully you can learn something as I break down my own scripts.
You want to be the agent first, and I'll be the homeowner?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, come up with an objection and let's walk through it.
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna knock and then we'll just go from there, okay?
Cool.
Hey, knock knock.
Hello?
Hey, my name is Cameron Ure with Fathom Realty. Did your neighbor let you know I'd be coming by?
What neighbor?
He's actually just down the street. We just sold their house about a week ago. The
Oh,
Christiansens. So I'm gonna pause here. I use this icebreaker all the time. Did your neighbor let you know I'd be coming by? I learned this a long time ago, but it is very wrong to use if you do not have a neighbor to reference. You can't just throw this out there if you have nobody to actually talk about. If you've sold a home, if you're actually selling a home, if you actually have a contact, very, very powerful. If not, use something else. I have tons of videos on other pitches that you can use, but I actually do have a lot of clients that I reference, and so this is why I use that. Let's dive back into it.
okay.
Yeah, no, it's all good if they didn't let you know. We're actually just out here because we still have buyers interested in homes similar to yours. Have you ever considered selling your house?
Uh, Honestly, not really. I mean, my wife and I are really busy right now, and just we're not even thinking about that.
Yeah. So jumping back into it, this is a very common response. I ask, hey, have you ever considered selling your home? And people are just like, yeah, not really. We're just super busy right now, or they just haven't really thought about it. And listen how I respond. This is super important. Don't miss this question. Totally. So is this like a forever home for you guys then, or do you want to sell in the future?
Um, I mean, we thought about maybe getting something in the bigger in the future, but honestly, right now it's just, we have so much going on that it's just we're so busy. We're not even thinking of that.
Yeah, totally. So a lot of times when a client is being complacent, doesn't really think about it, you have to draw them in with something that's going to catch their attention and truly pull them into the conversation so you can further educate and see if really you can help their situation. So are you thinking maybe like within the next like year or two, you'd probably do something, or what's kind of your timeline?
Yeah, it's probably more like 3 to 5 years realistically.
Cool. Okay. And what's holding you back from making that move sooner other than just life, being busy? So I asked a very direct question. When somebody gives me a timeline objection or they're saying, "Hey, we just don't know what our timeline is like or it's going to be in the next couple of years." I ask, "What is holding you back?" I want to know specifically what that is so I can then break it down. If you're not asking what the problem truly is and just skipping over to something else just to keep the conversation alive, you're skipping the most important objection or the problem that the person is giving you. You're not listening to them. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to be closing any deals from any of the conversations you're having.
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know.
Yeah. Just haven't really looked into it a whole ton.
Yeah, we haven't really looked into it. I mean, I guess, it's with the interest rates where they're at, and we kind of got a good interest rate here, and I just don't think it would make sense for us to make that move right now.
Okay, another extremely important thing to notice. When you have a client on the verge of answering a question and they're being quiet, they're being slow, or they're not really knowing their response, do not say anything. You have to be okay with awkward silence in a sales conversation for the prospect and force their hand to actually elaborate. When you shut up and stop talking, that gives them an opportunity to have to answer your probing question. We're not trying to be salesy. We're not trying to push people into answering questions that are uncomfortable. This wasn't that situation. We're just letting them talk without word vomiting over them so they can't get their point across. In this exact section of this conversation, I just said, hey, tell me a little bit more about that pretty much. And then I stopped talking. This is extremely powerful because they had to keep talking and sharing their true thoughts, which it came down to interest rates. Yeah. Okay. And so let me ask you this. If you were to make that move, say it was 3 to 5 years from now, would you sell this house or what would you want to do with this house?
Um, we probably just sell it and just get into something a little bit bigger.
Okay, gotcha. So it kind of sounds like the main reason you're holding back is just because of cost currently, rates, and just like the expense side of things. Is that about right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we just, money's so tight for us right now. And life's so crazy. We just, just getting into something, moving and having a bigger payment just is not something that, my wife and I want to even like consider right now.
Yeah. So, by asking a reframe question where I heard the concern, I reframed it and solidified that this was the actual problem, I'm now ready to dive into asking questions to educate and solve the problem. Knowing the true objection, going through all the smoke screens of, we're so busy right now, life is so crazy, now finding out it's interest rates, and then officially landing on cost, that it's just too expensive. I'm now ready to actually break down this objection and turn it around into an appointment and a deal. Totally. I totally get that. Let me ask you this. If you were able to actually keep a similar payment where your expenses don't really change at all and you could get into that newer, nicer home sooner rather than later, is that something that would you'd consider?
I don't know. I mean, is that even possible? Like, I mean, interest rates
Right?
are really high. Like
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening, to be honest with you.
Yeah. This is a response all the time when you're throwing out an option that a client would actually be interested in, but they don't understand. They almost think it's comical to think like, that's not possible. There's no way I could actually do that. But in reality, it is very possible, and you're now ready to educate because they gave you a green light of like, I mean, maybe, but I don't know how. And so pretty much they're saying, I mean, potentially if you could teach me how to do that. And that's what I do next. No, I get that. And that's the magic of kind of what I'm doing and why I'm out here is I'm just running those numbers to see if it actually is possible for homeowners to see if we truly could make that happen. And the reason I asked that question is because I have a strategy that helps with that process. If you don't mind me getting a little personal with you, do you have other debt other than your mortgage or any other expenses on a monthly basis? So the way I structure this question is extremely important. I ask, hey, do you mind me getting a little personal with you because I'm about to dive into this person's life and truly pretty much put on my financial advisor hat to see how I can help them. I'm not trying to say, well, I don't care about your financial situation. Let's sell, get into a more expensive house, you'll figure it out. Not at all. I'm not that person. I'm trying to actually restructure this person's finances to actually have it make sense.
Yeah, so my wife and I both have car payments.
Cool.
They're, we think mine is 400 a month and hers is around 300.
Okay.
I
Do you
mean,
know how much you owe on either of those cars? Like how much is left?
uh, I think I owe like 20,000 on mine and hers is about 30,000.
Okay, cool. Any other expenses? Do you have like any student loans or credit card debt or anything like that?
Yeah, my wife has a $200 a month student loan payment. We have a little bit of credit card debt as well. I think our monthly payment is like $100, something like that on our credit card.
And what would you say the total of both of those are as well from like a credit card and student loan standpoint?
Uh, I think we're at around 5,000 on our credit card, and then the student loan is around 20,000, I think.
Okay, cool. So roughly 75K in in other expenses regarding your debt and stuff like that. And then on like a monthly basis, you're right around another $1,000 on top of your mortgage, right? Okay, so if you didn't notice, I pretty much was probing to break down what other expenses this person has. I was asking in a nice way, pretty much just discovering the outstanding debt and the current monthly payment that they're having to pay on top of their mortgage. This is just kind of going back and forth, relaxed. I'm not being like nervous or really anything. I'm just kind of asking calm, collected questions about the situation. And now I have a ton of data and ton of ammunition to use to restructure all of this and throw right back at him to see if I can financially benefit him in this situation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I totally get it where you're looking at, okay, we have $1,000. How can we add a much higher mortgage payment on top of that, you know? And so what are you paying currently for your mortgage?
I think our payment's pretty good. Like I mean, that's part of the reason why we don't see us making a move. We're paying about $1,500 a month right now. And
Yeah.
I just, I mean, looking at interest rates and the cost of the homes that we would probably want to get into, like I just don't, I see our payment being like way more than that. So,
Yeah. So one thing I want to say is a lot of real estate agents, when they get this objection, agree, where they're like, oh, geez, I don't know what I would say because I understand that. I wouldn't be able to afford that higher mortgage payment. And it doesn't make sense if you have a really low interest rate to move and have a higher interest rate. But it actually does if you know how to structure it properly and how real estate actually works. And so I'm about to break it down. Stay tuned for this next part. That and kind of are thinking about getting into, what payment would you be looking at, do you think?
um, I think the ones, I don't even know. I mean, we'd like to get into like a detached house would be nice. I think, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. I think they're starting at around 500,000 right now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And so kind of going back to my initial question, with it sounds like when that time does come for you to make that move, you'd be selling this house. How long have you lived in this house?
We've been here, bought it brand new. We've been here for about 5 years.
So the reason I'm asking these questions is because I'm now building up to break down the numbers for him right then and there. I'm asking, how long have you been in this house? Because I know the market and I know the neighborhood. So based on how long he's been there, I can estimate equity. So based on if he bought 5 years ago, I know, okay, home prices 5 years ago in this neighborhood were roughly this. Meaning if I know what the home is worth roughly today versus this, he should have this amount of equity ballpark. That way, from there, I know exactly what his equity is going to be, how much power he has to put down, and how much he has to pay off debt. So, this is all in our heads. It is challenging to get down and practice, but over time, you will be the most professional real estate agent that has ever talked to this person if done correctly. Nice. So, I'm sure you have some great equity. You probably are around, how much equity do you think you have?
I think I don't know. I'd have to look. I think maybe we have about 150,000 in equity, or maybe 100,000.
Nice. Okay. So this is one critique I'm going to give myself. Like I just said, you should know what the equity situation should be. So if I did this perfectly, which I'm not perfect, I still struggle with these scripts all the time, but I would have known what equity already would have been instead of asking, what do you think, or how much equity do you think you actually have? So that's a little tip for myself to get better. Let's just say 100,000 on the lower end. If you were to sell, would you use all of that equity for that next house, you think?
Uh, I mean, I think so. I mean, we just really want to kind of keep that monthly payment down, so we probably just put it all into the next house.
Yeah, totally. So the reason I'm asking you all these questions is, we were able to actually pay off all your debt, so you're actually 100% debt free, and your new mortgage payment is equal to that about $2,500 current monthly expense you guys have with your mortgage and your other debts on top of it. Would that make sense to get into that newer, nicer home sooner rather than later?
I mean, I guess so. I don't know. I mean, I have to talk to my wife. Like it's all kind of overwhelming at this point.
Totally. Yeah, and I'm so this is the classic, everything you just said, I totally agree with, but I'm going to defer to the spouse. This happens all the time. It's very common, but I pretty much have him in a spot where he can't deny what I'm saying because he has given me all of the information that I'm using against him. And honestly, I hate actually that phrase of using against him. In reality, I'm just having a conversation and using what he said to further the conversation and see if I can actually help. I really hate the stigma around real estate where we're trying to sell people on moving and getting into a different house when in reality we're just trying to financially benefit them. And if you're the real estate agent that is trying to screw people over, don't be that person. Be a better human being and be like this where you're actually just trying to help. So let's see how I finish this conversation and actually set up the appointment. I'm not here to full blown like analyze your guys' entire expenses on your doorstep when we just met. I'd love to actually kind of make that game plan for you, run those numbers, and truly see if it would make sense for you guys. So you have a game plan, whether that's now or 5 years from now. Like I said, I'm just the local realtor in the neighborhood, just trying to create connections. And so, let me ask you this: what type of home would you? What did that look like when you guys were looking? What type of home was that? So when you get a yes from somebody and they say, yeah, I mean, we'd be interested, but I'll have to talk to my spouse or whatever. Or if they just say, I mean, yeah, if we could do that, that'd be awesome. That's when you want this person to start dreaming. Have them start looking at homes, thinking about what they would want, because shiny object syndrome really is a thing. They'll start to see homes, they'll start to see the actual possibilities. And if the golden, shiny, beautiful home is actually financially beneficial and makes financial sense, why on earth would somebody not want something that they truly have been looking forward to if it saves them money? This is why this strategy is so fantastic and works so well when knocking doors.
Yeah, so I mean, we love the neighborhood that we're in right now. So I think, we just want something with some more space. We'd like to have a garage and a backyard, and just, a little bit more space between other people. Like we like this place right now, but we're in this tiny little townhouse, and we just feel like we're right on top of everyone, and it'd be nice to just kind of have a little bit more space for
Yeah.
my wife and I.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. So, if you don't mind, and like I said, this would just be totally complimentary just to provide some value to you guys. I'd love to shoot you over my website. You could look for some of those homes that you guys have been looking at already. Send me kind of the ones you're interested in and that you've been kind of peeking around at. I'll run through this scenario for you guys, what the payment and expenses would look like, and then I'd love to swing back around and just present that to you. Are you guys available around like 5 p.m. on Thursday? Would I be able to come back around and kind of go over that with you?
Yeah, I'd have to check with my wife. I guess so.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. And totally, I'd want her there. That way we could go through it with all the important decision makers in the house. Obviously, in my situation, my wife wears the pants, and so I totally get it. And so I'll run through those scenarios with you. I'll shoot you my website. That way you can send me some homes that you've been interested in. What's a good phone number and email for you? We can stop
Sure.
there.
Cool.
Okay, so that concluded that role play session, and you can see how I set up for an appointment where I just said, hey, I want to make a game plan for you, whether it's now, whether it's in the future, and run the numbers and come by and just break those down for you if it actually makes sense. This is why you're zero pressure. You're just saying, let me see if I can help you, and coming back around and actually seeing if you can do so. So from that role play, hopefully you can see that it is extremely beneficial to ask questions. I asked so many questions, I dove into the objections, and I truly tried to break down each scenario. This is what I go over in my group live coaching calls within the Real Estate Agent School and my door knocking program. If you're a realtor that wants to learn how to knock doors and close more business than you ever thought possible, go to my website, realestateagentschool.co, or send me a message on Instagram at CameronYourOfficial, and I am so excited to chat with you. If you want to learn more just on YouTube, check out this playlist for my door knocking videos, and I'll see you in the next video.